Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com. New England gets more at 24.
Derek, you had it going from the jump. Finished with a season high and scoring 9 threes. You also had 4 blocks. What is it about playing Miami that brings the best out of you?
I don't know. Obviously a really good team and organization, so always a competitive game. And we lost 2 in a row, so I didn't want to lose 3 in a row, so it was a big one for tonight.
That fourth quarter was unbelievable. You guys set the franchise record for most threes in a fourth in front of the king of the fourth. What was said in that huddle?
We just want to start the fourth right. That's like a big momentum sequence for us. And IT was here, so the threes were flowing.
What's up, everybody?
How we doing?
What's up, Giles? The threes were indeed flowing, and I cut you off before you could even answer.
Yeah, you don't care how I am.
All I care about is that the Boston Celtics are good, and boy, were they good tonight, or at least in the fourth quarter. 129-116 over the Heat. Not as good. It got a little dicey there, Giles. I'm not gonna lie.
When? In the third quarter? In the second and third? Yeah, but didn't you expect that? This was like a prototypical Miami team that's like missing 4 or 5 guys.
Fair.
All of a sudden, Khalil Ware's going to knock down like 17 threes. You're going to have Yakachonis, the rookie, making ridiculous buckets. Yeah, wasn't he in the mix when they were talking about trading up and maybe going and getting Kasparis Yakachonis?
There were some Kevin Miller fueled rumors that were
whatever. I know we mentioned his name a lot on draft night, somewhere in that 4.5-hour draft night show. Jaime Jaquez was, made that big 3 at the end of the first quarter to kind of make you not feel so great about things. So it felt like it was going to be one of those typical Miami games where it was going to get grinded all the way until the final whistle. So the fact that the Celtics were able to, in the fourth quarter, distance themselves, that doesn't happen often against a Miami team. That again, this team's still frisky. They're pesky. We're
going to get into the fourth quarter, but give me one reason I shouldn't go on like a 5-minute rant about Ugo.
One reason? Derek White. Second reason, Jaylen Brown. A third reason, Sam Hauser. There's 3 reasons right there. Those
are pretty good reasons.
Yeah.
But it's my podcast, so in the same way that I didn't even care how you were doing. I'm going to blow right through your stop sign, and man, Ugo is fun. Is it fair to say that things are just different when he's out there?
Yes, and I brought this up on the postgame, too.
Like, you did.
He doesn't – how old – is he 19?
He is 19.
Okay. Does he look like a 19-year-old?
No.
I don't care if he played professional basketball in Europe. He looks like someone that's been in the NBA for a couple of years. Most of the time.
Yes.
There are probably some occasions where he looks a little out of...
Yeah, every rookie has their moments, right?
Sure. Most of the time he's out there, he looks like he's been in the league for a few years and has things pretty well figured out and has the size to go along with it and plays with a physicality that's there as well. So, again, it's just you wonder why you don't see Ugo playing 20-plus minutes every night, I guess, is where we go with it. But
it's all a process.
This is about you and Ugo, so go ahead.
So we showed up at practice the other day, and Ugo had this like gigantic gash on his neck.
You can notice them still tonight, too, the scratches.
They were quite prominent. And so, of course, we're like, who hurt you? Like, blink twice if it was Joe. Like, who did this? And the Celtics ended up posting a clip, and it looked like they were working especially on rebounding, but just they were probably playing 5-on-5 as well. And it was clear. It was like a physical practice. And I think the idea was Celtics have had a lot of days off. Joe probably wanted to ramp that intensity up a little bit. And no one was more excited to go play in the fray than Ugo. And he must have wandered too close to someone's uncut fingernails or maybe got swiped at. I don't know what it was. Maybe he just threw himself into a stanchion or something. But, he had a pretty good gash, and you could see it even more tonight, like multiple spots on his neck. But that's the way he plays, and that's what's so endearing, is that he's not afraid to just kind of throw himself into something. Eddie pointed it out. There was one great play at the end of the first half where like he was trailing the play, I think, coming back. He sprinted to the post to like deny someone there, and then the ball got kicked to the corner. He just kept going and ends up blocking the 3-point shot. And I'm like, man, sometimes it's that easy. Just hustle, just play hard.
Motor was the word that Eddie used, and I think that's another good one to kind of explain it.
It sort of fits the Brad Stevens mold of what, when they're looking for, especially in younger players, is there something that will differentiate you, whether it's motor, whether it's defensive ability. They feel like they can always kind of tap in. You don't get to this level and not have some bit of offensive skill in you. They'll figure that part out, and they will get it out of you. And if you don't, they'll just trade you for Derek White. But with Ugo, it was clear that, they felt pretty confident in the shot. The shot looks pretty good. Doesn't look like a 19-year-old shot. He shoots it with confidence. Doesn't always go in, but the form is good. It's just he goes in there and everything goes up a level. And whether that's motor or just the way that his defense is lifting a team that has not been great overall defensively, like one of the sneaky kind of secrets is like the Celtics, especially because of the offensive rebounds they give up, have just not been a great defensive team this year. But there are stretches where, they were super small. The end of the first half, him and Jordan Walsh are your biggest players on the court. And Miami couldn't exploit it. Bam's out there. They were Jaquez is out there. They just could not exploit the fact that they had gone super small. And it's what a luxury to have a 19-year-old kid and a 21-year-old kid that you're like, yeah, go figure out the center position for us while Nemi's resting.
Yeah. You also had the moments. I thought another turning point there towards the end of the first quarter when Josh Minot to Derek White to Ugo.
Excellent call.
That was another one of those energy moments. You talked about the closeout three in the corner. But they're finding different rotations, different ways to play. And I know Joe talked afterwards. I'm trying to remember exactly how he said it, but they went smaller to play faster, and it really benefited them in the second half, where they were getting up shots early before Miami was able to set up their defense
100%.
And take away, screeners, whatever else.
What's our familiar lament that the Celtics' worst basketball usually comes when they start plodding up and down the court, when they get it stuck in isolation. So while the small unit has not been great defensively, your offense has been otherworldly. I think the numbers for non-center lineups, so when no Nemi, Garza, Boucher, or Tillman, or Amari Williams, they were still +8, but the offensive rating is 135, which is just to put it in context, the 2024 Celtics that won a championship were at 122. So it's 13 points better per 100 possessions. It's an absurd number, an unsustainable number, and they're giving up 122 points. So they're giving up egregiously bad defensively, but they're making up for it with how good they are offensively. And so sometimes you just need that. Sometimes it's you just need a jolt, because otherwise it's going to be an avalanche if the other team is making shots the way that Miami was. And it just sort of it turned the tide of the game. It also, you kind of knew that Miami was going to wear down on the second night of a back-to-back, and so they just put all that pressure on them. And credit to Jaylen Brown, relentless to the basket. It's great third quarter, overshadowed by what happened in the fourth. But we did start this whole thing off with how the threes were flowing. So Giles, what's your headline?
Celts cool off Heat with avalanche of threes.
It was an avalanche.
It was an avalanche. They just absolutely buried Miami at the beginning of that fourth quarter. And as you brought up, that game was trending towards Jaylen Brown's going to have to grind them through what's going to be a grueling fourth quarter. He had 6 points at halftime, 15 points in the third quarter, and by doing that, what were they? Were they up by 3? Going into it?
They were up by 3 going into the fourth quarter.
They were up by 3 going into the fourth quarter, but it didn't necessarily feel like that because they had fallen behind by 7 or 8 points.
I think you said it. They were down 7 or 8 in the third quarter, right?
So it was looking like it was going to be an absolute grind until the fourth, when that just looked like a totally different game. It was what just happened? We just turned something else on here. It was like a video game, just 3 after 3 after. They made their first 6 of the fourth quarter. And Sam Hauser doing a good deal of that. So
your lineup to start the fourth quarter. So Jaylen plays all 12 minutes in the third, 15 points, really kind of keeps you afloat, keeps you in that game at a time when it could have got away from you. The lineup they roll out to start the fourth is Anthony Simons, Derek White, Ugo, Sam Hauser, and Nemi Ishketa. So they go a little bigger with Nemi out there, but Sam hits the 2 threes. Then all of a sudden, Derek hits one, Simons hits one. It just felt like it unlocked them a little bit, and from there it just launched. And my headline, just because we're treading on the same topic, is an ode to the king. You get Isaiah Thomas, the king in the fourth, sitting right next to the owner, Bill Chisholm, who could not be more thrilled to serenade IT, because all of us Celtics fans, that 2015 to 17 stretch was just otherworldly to be a part of and watch the way that IT blossomed. And it was super cool for him to get his moment, but what was he most known for? His fourth quarter theatrics, and especially beyond the three-point arc. The same team that 9 years ago he torched for 29 points in the fourth quarter. Here comes Hauser, here comes Simons, here comes Derek White banking in threes. And I think it was just a nice little. I joked before in the pregame, I didn't want to see them have to work into the fourth quarter because of quick turnaround with Toronto. But man, what a nice little tribute to IT. Like, hey, watch what we can do in the fourth.
Yeah, he was great, by the way, on the pregame show. He sat down with Drew and Scal live on our show.
Lobbied for a contract.
He did. He basically let him know, I'll come back and play. Joe, Brad, if you'll have me.
All right, so Phillip Rivers, right? They just came back.
Yeah,
174 years old.
Yep.
Is there a world where Isaiah Thomas could give you good minutes?
He's been playing,
right.
So
he was good in the G League when the Salt Lake gave him that opportunity.
Yeah, he got a couple 10 days last year.
Yep.
Well, what do you think?
I think it's tough. Usually when guys get away from it, it's hard to get yourself back into it. But if there's one guy who I would never rule out being able to go out there and he could still score. The one thing with scorers is they never forget how to do that. Doc Rivers used to joke that Paul Pierce could have played till he was 50. It's just that the older you get, the slower you get. Defensively, it becomes a challenge. And that would, obviously, Isaiah had an uphill battle just given his size. So that would always be an issue. I was always reluctant whenever people brought the topic up with some of these, the championship chasing teams. Those are pretty defined rotations. I didn't know, what the fit would be. It's hard. You'd have to find the right scenario for him to be able to go out there and get an opportunity. But it's hard for me to think that there's not somewhere in the league for him to, even if it's going back to the G League and just trying to show you what you can do. I wish the fact that he wants the opportunity, I hope there's something out there that allows him to chase it. He's never done the overseas thing, I don't think. And most guys don't want to do that. Once you've been to the mountaintop, it's tough to go do that. It's just more like a cash chase at that point. I don't think Boston's the right scenario where they're at with trying to develop some of the young guys. There's not enough minutes now for Shireman and Walsh and all these guys.
Yeah.
Depth chart is pretty full, but it would be cool to see him get, because every time I look up, he's posting a new video of him grinding away in the gym. The slow grind never stops. The marathon never stops. Having a vehicle you can rely on, that's important. That's why you can rely on 24 Auto Group. They will treat you like family. And that's because they are family owned and operated. They're honest, easy to work with, and they just get it. Whether you're looking for something sporty, something luxurious, or just a solid everyday ride, 24 Auto Group always comes through. With 9 brands and 11 locations across New England, there's something for everyone. And here's the best part. They've got the knack to save you more on a new or pre-owned vehicle, and the knack to pay you more for your trade, up to $2,400 over book value. You can even drive home with just $24 down. So if you want the best deal without the runaround, go see my guys at 24 Auto Group, because you always get more at 24. Online at 24autogroup.com.
You remember 4 or 5 years ago when COVID was more prevalent and it was a thing where guys would have to sit out games. You would see players come out of that you hadn't seen in a while, sign up like Joe Johnson,
played in a Celtics game, maybe the highlight of our COVID season.
It's just, it felt like that created opportunities around those times. Maybe once you get towards February when you have the trade deadline and buyouts and that kind of thing, I'm curious, does that kind of shake things up?
I think it's just the tougher thing is he's got to kind of show teams that he can still do it, and that would require some sort of entry point, and I wonder if that would mean having to go down. But man, I almost wish he said at the end there that he's ready for whatever's next. I know he's been doing some NBA TV work. I would love to get him in this studio at some point, because I know he's doing his own podcast now. He he was a joy. Like I've said this like repeatedly. Like no one was more important from a player perspective in my career than Isaiah Thomas because that was sort of like the early stages of my journalism career, and he was the first player that I'd never covered a guy who was like on that trajectory where it went from 6-man, traded, clearly had a little like that confidence that he could be more, but then to go and be a top 5 MVP candidate. Every day at practice, I had this joy because he was going to tell me like some other crazy story. One day I show up and I'm just like, hey, what'd you do last night? And he goes, I broke into a train station so I could take pictures of the Nike campaign they put up on there. And he goes, and then like essentially Homeland Security came over and was like ready to tackle him because they're like, you can't take pictures of a train station. It's like illegal to, it's like a security, like a legitimate security thing. But so he has to explain. He's like, but no, that's me. And it's just, it's like the craziest stuff. And here's the guy he was so down to earth, and it was just so much fun to chronicle it. And obviously, then the playoffs that year, and like the emotional grief of losing his sister, and like he busted his face up in that series against Chicago, and then the Wizards series. Like, it was just like it's just crazy, like to watch it all unfold. And I will forever be appreciative of it. And, it hurts when when you ask, like, is there a place in the league for him? Like, I want there to be a place for him. I want more Isaiah Thomas in this league. But it was pretty cool seeing him on the sideline. And so I don't know what's next for IT. What he's hinting at is the next frontier. But if he wanted to be a coach, if he wanted to do something on the periphery of an NBA team, he would knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Or if he wants to do media.
Charisma. Yeah, he's got the charisma. He's got the smile.
So good.
It was great to see him. Did he say, too, was this the first time he was back in the building as a fan?
That surprised me. I was trying to think if that's true. Now, I know he's come back. I remember when he came back with the Cavs. And, obviously, then he had a whole bunch of health stuff. And, I don't
because he's been back in the city. Remember, like, he was looking for, the pickup games?
He would literally come hang. Like, our NBC 10 people found him, like, in the North End just wandering around. Like, yeah, he's definitely been back. He came back for the tradition to get honored when Evan Turner inducted him. But, yeah, like, I think he would pop to the practice facility, but he had never been to a game, which is just got to be so, you always hear ex-players talk about it, like how jarring it is to go from you're so locked in that you kind of get lost. You tune out the atmosphere a little bit.
Yeah.
But to be then front row and be serenaded and, as Joe said, he couldn't hear himself during that timeout because people were going so nuts. And it warms my heart because we've had a lot of success since then. And winning a championship, it'd be easy for people to kind of forget that you don't get to where the Celtics got to without Isaiah Thomas. And I didn't mean to hijack this post-game pod and turn it into the Isaiah Thomas appreciation, but like it's the night like this is a good reminder. Probably should have brought up that before Ugo, but sometimes the priorities get mixed, and we can celebrate both the new generation and the guys that put you on the path. I'm telling you, they do not get there. They certainly don't get there as quickly as they did, unless Isaiah and Evan Turner and Jay Crowder and Kelly Olynyk and like they all put this on a track. If they just languish and they're just like churning picks.
You know who else was on that team watching those highlights? Because we had a highlight package of that 52-point game by Isaiah Thomas.
Hold on. I'm trying to think like which player of that.
Well,
group.
Jonas Jerebko was on there as well. And
that was the one I was going to say.
No, the one guy I wanted to bring up was a skinny number 7 with the flat top. Jaylen Brown was out on the floor for that, and this is his 10th year in the NBA. It was crazy to see him running around as a rookie out there, and
he Isaiah famously
was on that Isaiah team.
Popcorned his car, and Jaylen was like, I think there's still part of Jaylen that is very, very mad. They've like filled his car, and I believe it was buttered popcorn.
Oh, I'd be pissed too. Buttered popcorn. Oh, that's gonna be greasy forever, man.
Yeah. I think when you do that prank, you're supposed to do the untreated.
But it's just so crazy to see Jaylen then versus Jaylen now.
like you said, skinny, and like now he's just a massive muscle and bullies his way to the basket at every turn. When you said skinny, I thought you were gonna. Amir Johnson has a small part of my.
He was on that team as well.
His slow release threes. Now that when we watch modern NBA players and like the speed with which you would just have to like release to get to be able to be a consistent 3-point shooter, I remember I had actually had the sports science people track the amount of time it took Amir Johnson to load up his 3-pointer, and it was like an egregiously long number, like to the point where they were like an average player, let's say, gets rid of the ball in like 0.4 seconds, and he was something like 2.1.
Wow.
Like the amount of defenders that should be able to close out on that. So the amount of space he needed to get that shot off. And yet he shot like 40% that year.
I guess
I did not think
we get to take that much time.
I didn't think that somehow we went from.
We've gotten to Amir Johnson, like time of release. Like Celtics get a real good win over the Miami Heat, go crazy in the fourth quarter. Now we're talking about Amir Johnson's release time.
Somehow the trajectory of this podcast went Ugo Gonzalez. We haven't even talked about Derek White hitting 9 3-pointers.
He had 33 points. He played really well. Season high.
Jaylen Brown's 9th out of the last 10 games having 30-plus points quietly and everything that he did. Somehow we went Ugo, Isaiah Thomas, Amir Johnson.
I blame the host.
And you know what? Yeah, I 100% blame the host. The fans of this podcast, the few of you, know that this show goes off the rails quickly. And nothing can get me there quicker than showing me an old highlight reel that has Amir Johnson and Jonas Jerebko flying around, and my mind is gone. Good win. They play very quickly. Any concerns about now having... They've been very good on the second night of back-to-back.
Yeah.
I think the number in the Joe era is something like 34-11 now. I don't know why. Like sometimes those numbers just pop in my head. They're probably way off. Any concerns, though, with the quick turn?
No. Nope. Wow. Nope. Because
not even with Nemi having to scrape himself up.
There's one guy who definitely took some bumps and bruises today.
If they said Nemi just maybe stay in Boston,
but the small ball's been working.
Yeah,
small ball's been working. Obviously, Jakob Poeltl, right? He'll be playing.
You assume?
Yeah.
I never know the opposing team's injury report. I did, but it's funny.
That's tomorrow's problem. Right?
By tomorrow, I'll figure it out. But. When Miami's injury report popped up in our pregame show, and I said, "Oh my God, I did not know they were." I knew Tyler Hero had been out, but I didn't know that Andrew Wiggins and some of the other guys were going to miss time. And I said, "I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing."
Well, Mitchell and Wiggins, I think, had played last night.
So that's the thing. It shows like sometimes opportunity for other guys. There were parts of this game in the first half where I said, "Oh boy, here we go." Fontecchio's drawing these random like offensive fouls on the Celtics, and I said, "This is going to be one of those nights."
Yep.
And then they figured it out because Derek White is back, because Jaylen Brown has never left,
and Sam Hauser, Sam Hauser going
inventing players now.
Yeah, I just combined Sam Hauser and Derek White.
I love it.
Whatever, everyone was making threes.
They like literally. Samferney White away. Like they were dominant in the fourth quarter. A good win for the Celtics. Finally, after only playing 2 games in 11 days and driving us all nuts, we're back on the bicycle. 3 games in 4 nights, and then yet another 3-day break. But yeah, good win.
Good win.
Anything else jump out about this one you want to?
I think we're good, man. I think we're good.
I wanted to try and pull like one more player.
Oh, okay.
No, like that I could vividly remember from that like the highlight, but all I can think of is Amir and Jerebko. Anyone else jump out in there? I'm trying to think. Like Jay Crowder probably would have been in.
He was out there.
Okay.
Avery Bradley.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if he was on the floor that night.
Fair.
Because I don't remember.
Second night of a back-to-back. They played in Cleveland, I believe, the night before.
And they had lost. And
I remember it was very emotional because it was like that team was showing a little something, but obviously LeBron and the Cavs were sort of the benchmark. And so they went up there. I think they were competitive early, but then they maybe got their doors blown the rest of the way. And it was just like, okay, maybe they're not on the level of a good team yet. And, man, that Miami game, that changed everything. Sleepy night in December, just like this one. No, if I'd had a post-game pod there, I probably would have been rambling about something inconsequential.
Talking about the 2006 Celtics.
Hey, is that Erie Welsh out there? All right. I need everybody to go like, go subscribe, go check us out on the YouTube page. Mark Blount. We'll catch you next time on the Celtics Talk podcast. I did not like Mark Blount.